Guys, this is my buddy's 2000 Ford F-250 with 7.3 power stroke in it. We got a bunch of turbo mods we're going to do to it. I'll show you what we've got going on here. So we got the Banks big head turbo actuator for the wastegate control. We got the wicked wheel for it. I rebuilt one here, I don't know, a month or two ago, and there's a compressor wheel. There's a stock compressor wheel off another one. Yeah, there's quite a bit of difference in the wheels on them between the wicked wheel and the stock compressor wheel. But here's a rebuild kit for it too, and I got a couple pedestal rings. So it's the Garrett part number right here. 740-659-0008. So, and then this is the this takes the exhaust back pressure control valve and turns it into an exhaust brake. I've never put one of these in, so this is going to be an adventure on this one. I don't think it's going to be too bad. So we'll go through this and put this in. But first things first, we're going to get the turbo out of it. Let's climb up on this beast and give you kind of a rundown of what we're going to do here. Okay, so obviously first thing we're going to do, we'll pull our air cleaner, our intake boot, we'll pull our charge air cooler hoses, both of them off, and then we'll pull our wire off going to our intake air heater here. And then pull this coil and this vacuum connector off, and then we'll pull the Y pipe off going to the intake, and then the lower Y pipe going down to the intake manifold here, and then we'll be back in there. There's our wastegate actuator. You can see it back there with the red vacuum line going to it, and then we'll pull our down pipe clamp off, and this newer style is way better than the old style. You just got to pull the, oh, if you can see that back there. Let me get my, see if I can get the light turned on, if I can figure out how to do that. The nice thing about this, the newer body style, you know, the 99 through 03, is that on the pedestal you just had the 2-bolt hold down right there on it. The older style, body style, was kind of a son of a gun to get loose with that 4-bolt manifold in the back there. It was, you didn't have any skin on your fingers when you were done. I cut end wrenches in half and all kinds of stuff to get those out. They were a pain. But now we just pull our 2-bolt manifold and pop the turbo off, and then your pedestal stays below that. So let's pull my map sensor off. What I'm going to do is just unplug it, and then I'll unbolt my 3 bolts here, 10mm here, and we'll just lay it over there on the kind of in the valley there, out of the way. That way you don't have to mess around pulling the. Once you pull your lower intake Y off, it'll come with it. So just less stuff to take off, saves you a little time. Boy, I had a cat, I was working on a cat down in California, and man, it really got my hand today. And we'll just lay that over there for now. And next thing I'm going to do is pull my battery cables off. That way I don't touch this, you know, glow plug relay or intake air heater relay and short across that or anything. You'll notice that this is a non-California one, because most of the California ones had the actual controller for the glow plugs instead of just a relay like this. This big relay here is your intake air heater relay, the taller one. The smaller one's your glow plug relay right here. Okay, let's get the battery cables off. We got our charge air cooler hoses off. I'll loosen the clamp on the right hand bank one, on the passenger side one, on the bottom clamp, just enough to work it'll twist inside in the hose, and then I don't take this one clear out. I just rock it up there out of the way. And then on the driver's side one, I pull it clear out because then it's easier to get this off and get this out of your way. But unplug your vacuum lines off your vacuum solenoid, unplug your electrical connector off your vacuum solenoid, take you a 10mm socket or end wrench or whatever, and take your wire loose for your coming from your intake air heater relay going to your intake air heater. And pull it loose. It should be a captured nut that's, you know, part of this wire, but sometimes the little tits that hold that onto the spade of the wire there, they don't hold on there and it still comes off and falls in the valley just like that insulator did just now. Oh shit. Reach down in there and get that insulator before I forget about it. Oh. Okay. So the insulator, it'll go against here because this is your ground wire right here. Okay, so your ground wire goes over your ground wire's got the big end on it. That's going to go over that. And your insulator goes on there. And your hot lead's going to go on here, just like that. So pop your ground wire off, and what I like to do is put my. Actually, I'm not going to be able to do that right now. I was going to say I could put the nut on there, but that's a captured nut, so that's not going to work. So we'll just lay the insulator up there so we don't lose it. And then we'll take a flat blade screwdriver and take our upper intake Y off. I know I got a screwdriver here somewhere. There it is. Man, that one's on there pretty good. There it goes. This clamp, you gotta back it quite a ways off to get that off. And this rocket clamp up over there like that. Okay, and then you can pull the clamps loose for your lower intake Ys down here. And let's see, did somebody make that to where those were going to be accessible or not? Let me pop this vacuum line off going to the wastegate actuator before I break it. I'm trying to reach down and get these loose. Let's go ahead and take these loose here too. The intake pipe here, and it'll actually be a little easier to get to that once we get this loose. Pop your little green one out. And then we need a 5/16 or 8mm. Take these two loose here. Oh. Alright, so I'll get these two 5/16 headed bolts out of here. Or 8mm, whichever you prefer. I'm sure it's supposed to be 8mm. It's metric. I think it's got like a, yeah, it's got a 10.9 on it, so it's a metric bolt. But 5/16 fits on it too, if you don't have an 8mm. Yeah, it's going to be stuck in the blow-by tube. Those are always fun to pop out of there. I'm gonna probably need 2 hands to do this. Oh, I wish I had a cameraman. Yeah, I'm gonna need 2 hands. It's just not gonna happen. Oh, man. We got our intake Y here off. I'm gonna lay it over here, right on the positive post of that battery. Oh, I'm just joking. Okay, there you finally see your turbo. Okay, so you got your there's your good old electric back pressure control valve solenoid. Unplug it, and then we got to get a 7/16 here. Get this one loose, and as you can see back there on the back, we'll get that one loose. We'll take our 2 pedestal bolts out, and then we'll be off with the turbo. Alright guys, so I'm going to get those 2 loose, and the next clip here will be disassembling the turbo. We got the turbo off this 2000 F250 here, and for those of you that aren't real familiar with the terminology, I just want to explain some of the things that on the turbo here. So this is what I call the whole cold housing and the hot housing. Some people call this the impeller housing and the turbine housing. And this is your turbo wastegate actuator. You'll see, well, it's a little easier. Here's your actuator. It's down inside here. Your impeller wheels inside here, and your turbine wheels out here. Here's where your oil feed and your drain come through here. The small hole is your oil feed. The big hole is your oil drain going back to your block. And this is your electric back pressure control valve right here. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do, take your little C clip, pop it off of there. Now I'm going to have to get 2 hands. I'll pop this little clip off here. Get a pick or O-ring pick or something, and just watch out, because kind of hold on to it with one hand, it'll go flying. And you can pop your actuator rod off, and then you can mark your cold housing if you want. You really don't need to. This actuator's rod's going to line up in one spot. Oh, they had those Loctited. Makes you a little nervous on this aluminum stuff, thinking it's going to snap. I might have to take my actuator off or something there. I need an extension, that's what I need. I'll be back in a minute. I'll get an extension here and get this other bolt off. Okay. I'm going to just pop your cold housing off. We're going to go ahead and install our clean this up too. We need to get this varnish off of here and this carbon and all this shit off this thing. It looks like 10mm. And we'll pull that wastegate actuator off of there. Just got 2 hold down bolts right here. They're lock nuts. And if a guy really wanted to make one of these run, you just basically get rid of this wastegate actuated turbo and put you a non-wastegated turbo on it. Because the wastegated turbo, I mean, hence the word waste. It wastes exhaust gas, basically bypassing around the turbine wheel. On the trucks, we used to take A lot of the E-model caps or C12s or anything like that, we used to take the little vacuum tube, run into them and just kink them to where they wouldn't work. And they'd run a little better like that. Okay, I'll show you the difference between the old and the new. There's a difference on the wastegate actuator. This one's got a lot bigger diaphragm and spring in it than this one does. So it should actuate a lot quicker and it should hold a lot better. I think what happens on these is these lift too soon and bypass too much gas around the turbine wheel, and you don't get as much boost. And the PCM can't control the boost as accurately because this thing's lifted too soon. So get rid of that one. I didn't recommend any of this stuff. This is my buddy. He just bought all this stuff and wanted me to put it on, so I'm not really promoting any of this stuff. I'm just showing you guys just and installing it if you wanted to install one. Let's clean the cold housing up. Okay, so now we've got that. You're not going to be able to get this off until you get your turbine wheel off. So the next step is we'll take these trying to remember here. What did I take off the next? Oh, I took off my it's been a while. Okay, there's our exhaust back pressure control valve, and which a little later we're going to turn this into an exhaust brake. Pretty much the same thing, it's just a butterfly closing over your... What these things do in the mornings when you start them, they're supposed to shut, create some back pressure, and it'll help the engine warm up quicker. To be honest with you, when I usually get rid of them on mine, and then here's a good view of your wastegate. That's your wastegate right there. Now, let me get this pointed in the right direction for you so you can see it. That's your wastegate. Alright, I got to get a 5/16 end wrench so I can get those loose. Let's see here. 16 millimeter. Spin your turbine wheel, your impeller wheel off, and then take these 4 bolts out of your back plate for your impeller housing. I already took this apart because these 4 bolts were coming out really hard. There's 4 bolts in here. You'll have to get I had to get a 1/4 inch drive, 12-point extension to get down in this hole here, and the bolts are actually down in here. You can't get this off. You can't get your turbine wheel off without doing this. It won't come out this side, it actually comes out that side. So take these loose, like I'm showing you here. You'll have to get a ball peen hammer or something and just tap on this till you get this broke loose. This will be pretty stiff on the shaft, this bearing here, or this thrust bearing here. And what you'll have to do is take a rubber mallet and tap on it. Just tap on this turbine, the actual turbine shaft here, and then it'll come out the other side. Actually, not. It won't come out the other side, but it'll break loose once you get this out. You can pull this whole assembly out. That's what I did. I pulled the whole assembly out, like so, and then I tapped on this and popped this out. But see, this is not going to come anywhere past this. There's a cone inside the turbine housing. And once you get that off, that'll pop out of there. Okay, here's your stack up. You got one bearing, and the bearings are not directional. That's not directional either. That's your bearing setup and your spacer on your shaft. And then your seal right down here. You'll have to pop that old seal off. Let's get these parts cleaned up. There's a shield on here. This cone will come off. There's usually a bunch of carbon in behind it. Let's get that off of there next. Okay, so here's our turbine shaft. First thing you want to do, take your bigger seal here. Try not to stretch it too much when you're putting it on there. It's a metal sealing ring, so it's kind of stiff. Just get it started on one edge and kind of roll it over like so. You can see that there. Okay, and I got a little bit of oil just in the cap of the oil jug here, and I just get these wet with motor oil. Remember, these bearings are non-directional. Slide those in, and slide your spacer over, your bearing spacer, and slide your other bearing on your shaft. Okay, so you can slide that into your housing here. Clean the inner. I took brake clean and a pick, and I cleaned all the carbon off this part. The carbon will get real built up right here, and the carbon will get built up real bad right around where this sealing ring was. So clean these up really good. You'll have to give it just a little bit of a pop with your hand there to get that sealing ring, and that's all there is to it. Okay. Now you're ready for this to go back onto your turbine housing. This word will lay down flat. This will only go on one way. The bolt holes will only line up one way. And this kit will come with new bolts too. Oh, let's see here. I got it. Okay, I got a 1/4-inch drive here somewhere I was using to put those back on. I had to find my 1/4-inch drive ratchet. I had a 1/4-inch drive 12 point to get these two in here. so I like to kind of just snug it down first and get this seated up real good. You'll see the gap here on the bottom between the housing and the turbine housing and the bearing block. And I get them pretty tight. I'm not really sure. I've never seen a torque spec on it. I watched some other videos. Tried looking that up. I couldn't find anything on it. This stuff here you don't want coming loose because these things scatter when stuff comes loose or bolts start backing out. Okay, then make sure this will spin freely. Okay, so that's good to go there. Okay, now we're ready for the back plate of our, you've got a funky looking seal right here that goes in. Okay. Drift thrust washer. And shit, I can't remember what the hell they call that, but you'll see the groove here. I gotta get some more lube for this. Okay, so your other little sealing ring goes in the groove on this right here. Okay, and this only fits in here one direction. That's it, just like that. What I like to do, I get these lubed up with some clean motor oil. I'll slide this over that, and then I take it down here into my housing. Remember, you got that sealing ring on there. And just pop it in there just like that. Okay, now we're ready to slide it back over our turbine shaft. And those bolts only line up one way too. They're all different dimensions. snug them up and we'll make sure it turns freely before we tighten them up. You have a little bit of squish there with that seal that you're squishing in there. That should turn freely. Shouldn't be any problems there. Feels good. There'll be a little bit of back play on it. Once this thing gets pressurized with oil, that'll go away. So now, I need to clean up this other piece of housing. But we're ready for our turbine wheel, our new wicked wheel. Let me get this part cleaned back up where I can put that on. New turbine or impeller wheel. It's a wicked wheel. Thread it on there. These are right-handed thread. I've rebuilt a couple hole sets on some Cummins, and the impeller wheel knows it's left-handed thread, so it knows you gotta be careful. This looks like it's a different size than the other one was. For the hex on it, yeah, this must be like 13mm on this one. They never keep anything the same. That'd be too difficult. Now I see a lot of guys that, you know, they go and balance these. I don't have that capability to balance those. This one seems like it's going on a little bit stiffer than the last one I did. Of course, this guy got his own wheel. I got mine from a different place, but it should be pretty much the same thing, I would think. Okay, you can get to a point there to where you're holding the other end with your wrench. And what I like to do is once it starts trying to really turn my other end, you know, once you really feel that come up kind of solid, is hold it and then go about another quarter turn. That should be it. So next step is the impeller housing. I gotta get all the grime cleaned off that thing, and we'll bolt it back on. And that's pretty much it, really, guys. We'll put the wastegate actuator on. This housing will only fit on there one way. It's pretty simple. I mean, you got the wide part here, you got the wide part here. Only thing that doesn't come in kit, there's a big O-ring around this housing. It doesn't come in the kit. I wish they'd put that in there. And those will take the original bolts. The only bolts that come in the kit for the new stuff is for the bearing cartridge and the backing plate. You'll have to use your original bolts in here. really the guys, these aren't too bad to do. I mean, they're pretty easy really. One thing about the newer hole sets on like the Cummins, you gotta have your laptop so you can, you know, hold the actuator in a certain spot when you goes back together, so the actuator is calibrated and all that stuff goes back together. Same thing on like a truck engine. These old turbos here, no, you don't need none of that crap, so pretty simple. Make sure I got them all snugged up. All right. There we go. Make sure she turns nice and freely. Feels really good. That's what we want. Now we take our Banks big head wastegate actuator. Oh look, it comes with a new little C-clip. Underneath some tape right here. That's cool. Oh, I need my 10mm. Get my little clip peeled out of here. It's kind of nice they sent that, because usually them clips go flying off and you can't find it laying in the shop somewhere. Okay, I'm trying to remember which way that nipple faced. So the turbo sits in this pickup. It sits in there kind of like that, kind of at an angle. So you want that nipple facing towards you, I think. Actually, I guess we can put it towards us, because see, this one here is not, this one's set offset at 90 degrees, this one was straight out. So I guess I've never put one of these Banks ones on here, so we'll put it towards the front of the, I might have to change it. And you can change your rod length too to get different boost. You know, sometimes you just have to play with them. I've done that on the stock ones, just played with them until I got my boost where I wanted it. Man, that's a pretty stiff little spring in there. There we go. Got her twisted where I can lined up. Obviously, that is way too short. We're going to have to at least get that adjusted to where we can at least hook it up. Okay, I'm going to have to hold this in the vise, and they've got it all the way bottomed out in the threads. So we'll put it back in here and we'll close this all the way is what we're going to do. And get it to where it'll hook up. That looks like a good spot. I might have to take it for 2 test drives and watch the boost gauge on it and see what it does, and I might have to get out and kind of tinker with it and break that loose, and you can do that with it on the vehicle. Oh man, they got that tape wrapped all around the... Alright. It's a stiff little son of a gun. Usually I can just pop those on there with my fingers, but that one there is pretty stiff. There we go. I don't know about our vacuum line there, how the hell that's going to fit on there. That's a bigger nipple than what was on there. Hopefully that fits on there. Might have to modify that too. It'd be kind of nice if they would have left that the same size. And those are not 10mm like the other ones. Those are 1/4 inch bolts, so those are 7/16. Somehow I grabbed a 12mm. There we go. The right size now. Feels a little better. Okay. Make sure that's closed. And you don't want to adjust that too far to where that's stuck open half the time. You'll really be having some boost problems then. Just adjust that rod up to where that's all the way closed. Okay, the turbo is rebuilt. The Banks big head actuator is on it. Now, I'm ready to install this kit next. The BD Performance. I'm taking this exhaust back pressure valve. I've never put one of those on, but it takes the exhaust back pressure control valve here. It basically makes a to where you can turn that on and off and close it in the cab and make an exhaust brake out of it. I don't know how this is going to work, guys. I've never it's a way more economical, option besides putting a pack brake, on these standard transmissions. You can put one in, you can buy one for $700-800. I think this kit here is only $200, so if it works good, hey, why not? We'll see. But the kit, the turbo rebuild kit, I think is $90. I got them from Diesel Power Products out of Yakima, because I'm in the Northwest. I got them pretty much solely for the purpose because the shipping, it doesn't take as long to get here because they're closer. And sometimes they don't even, you can see where they get them, they don't even get them themselves. They don't have them, they get them somewhere else. You can see where they get shipped from. They probably get them from XDP or somebody. Wish that would stay on there. Okay. This girl's ready to be put back on. First thing I gotta do is read the directions on this other kit and see what the heck we're doing there. Here's what we've done so far. We've just followed the wiring diagram on this switch. Okay, they call this the DFI, the Dodge Ford Idle Verifier. Okay, and this is a Ford, so basically pink wire goes down. That pink wire is going to actually go out to the previous step I was at. I was looking at before, up underneath the hood, and there's a posi tap that goes to a wire going to the electric back pressure control valve, and then your blue wire goes in the middle, and your green wire goes on the top. And those are going to be going to your ECM, to the brake switch for the cruise control disable. And then there on the bottom, on the other side of that DFIV switch, you're going to hook your toggle up. Your black goes to the middle. Your yellow is going to be going to the top. Here's your throttle position sensor wire. And then your red's going to be coming off the bottom. Well, I'm just looking at their diagram. I just went off the bottom of the switch. There's two red wires on the switch. There's a top and a bottom, or a middle and the bottom. So I went off the bottom just like they're showing there. So if it's wrong, that's no big deal. We can turn it around. So, and let's see here. What does this say? To brake activation on DFIV pink. To ebpv valve on turbocharger. That's where the pink wire is going to go. So let me get my stuff set up here. I need to get a hole drilled in the dash and get the toggle mounted and run the wires. So the kit comes with a bunch of zip ties, and basically they want you to mount this right here on this little cross member. Take your dash panel off where your fuse box is, and you will mount that to that cross member. Next step is take your ground wire, which would be your black wire. It'll come in the kit, and you'll have to take one of these posi tap connectors, because your toggle switch is grounded too. You'll tee into that right there, and then I just took, because I've put a lot of CBs and stuff in too, and this is where we always ground, is right here, and that one line will come with that, and it'll come with an eye on it, and just slip it over that stud there and put the nut on it. And then the next step is you're going to be powering your toggle switch, and that'd be your red wire coming. I still got to drill a hole dash. It's 5 o'clock in the morning here, so I don't want to wake all my neighbors up with I left my cordless drill down in south into my main shop, and I'd have to fire my service truck up and use my air drill, and I don't want to wake everybody up till about 7, so I won't have them too pissed off at me on Saturday. But take your red fused wire coming down to your toggle switch, just right there. This one with the fuse on it. Come up, and there's a big yellow posi-tap connector in the kit, and that'll be spliced in coming off your ignition switch. This is a key on. This one's powered up with the key on. It's a red with a black tracer. There's 2 of them, and they're both the same. They're both keyed up with the powered up with the key on. So tap into that for that. I got to get this tidied up, but I got most of my wires in here tidied up. He's got a CB in here that's mounted to his panel. I got to put back up there. But the next step is your pink wire. Okay, your pink wire here is going to your brake. Actually, no, I'm wrong on that. The next step is the yellow wire. The yellow wire, okay, that's your TPS, accelerator pedal position sensor or throttle position sensor. You'll run that wire over here. Let me get back in here where you can see this, maybe. I'm trying to get this thing. That'll go in there off your throttle position sensor, and you want to splice that right here. Put your posi-tap connector in there, and you want to splice that wire into your gray wire with white tracer. That's your yellow wire coming from your, it says APPS on accelerator pedal position sensor on this box, but it says it's the TPS down there. So, and then the next step is you'll run your blue, pink, and green wires. Run them down through the firewall, through a grommet in the firewall. They already had that hole there because of the CB stuff. Run them through there. And take you that split loom. I still gotta tidy this stuff up. I don't like stuff all hanging around and loose wire, but so you take the pink wire, run it over here to your actual EBP electronic brake control valve solenoid, and the gray wire with the red tracer is the one you want to tap into on that one. Okay, and over here, this is your cruise. This is your brake disconnect, your brake pressure switch. Okay, you're supposed to take the blue and green wires and run those together, and those will tap into the black with yellow tracer wire, just like that. So, and that's pretty much it for that. Just kind of, you know, try to keep your wires away from the steering shaft and stuff like that, and away from the exhaust manifold where they don't melt. So, well, now guys, I'm going to put this turbo back on that we just rebuilt and get all this stuff working. We'll be back in a little bit. I've already started it once, but I'll just show you it's everything seems to be good. Okay, now this is what's kind of weird. It's working, but every time you turn this switch on, service engine soon light comes on. And you can actually hear it close. I mean, it's closing and opening. There's something not right. It's killing my throttle. Should be able to push the throttle and deactivate it. Now it's coming on. Now it's not doing it. It's not throwing the light on now. Be able to hit the throttle though, and it should kick it off, and you should be able to leave your switch on. I can definitely hear it coming on just like a pack brake. That's weird. And now it seems to be working fine. So, toggle's lighting up when you turn the switch on. I don't know, it seems to be working fine now. It's kind of weird how it through the service engine is not doing it anymore. See, it's on right now. Well, I think we need to go drive it. I gotta open the door before I asphyxiate, and I gotta drill a hole for this toggle switch, but it's working. It actually seems to be working pretty good. Might be a pretty cheap, you know, different way to do an exhaust brake without having to fork over $800–900 for. It took me about 2 hours to install it, to wire it. So it ain't too bad, guys. So, well, I think I'll wrap it up for this video. That's a turbo rebuild, Banks big head actuator, turbo actuator installation, turbo rebuild, and this BD electronic back pressure control valve, turn it into a wastegate configuration. So, alright guys, well, thanks for watching.